Good afternoon YouTube, this is Warbles On A Lot here with an update. I've got 200 plus subscribers and I may be the fool on the hill, but yeah, there's 200 people around the world paying attention. And big news, we have the world's first YouTube inspired copycat SunFoil to announce. Congratulations InfinityVision. Those of you who've been paying attention for a while will know that when I get up in the morning I check my channel and I see how many total movie views I've had on my channel and the movie I've got on my daughter's channel. I have a look at the channel views and the subscribers, and on the 1st of December 2011 I had 100 subscribers and 10,000 movie views, and sometimes the trends go up and down a bit. So for example, on the 11th, no, look at it, on the 10th I had 192 subscribers, and the next morning I woke up to 187. I'd lost 5 of them, probably 3%. So sometimes people get bored because they might have come to my channel to look at model aeroplanes, and I haven't done a movie on model aeroplanes for a long time. So yeah, people come and they go, but that was the biggest day's drop I've ever had. Yesterday, sorry, 19th, I had 203 subscribers. This morning, 205. And on the 18th, day before yesterday, it was 195. So I'm fairly secure, you know, despite my various psychological problems, I'm fairly secure in saying that I've got 200 subscribers. And the second 100 of them took 3 months to put together, and the first 100 took 6 months and a week. So that's what's called an exponential curve, right? The further I go, the faster I'm accelerating in terms of subscriber numbers. Pretty much the same with movie views. For those of you who are interested, on my channel, it takes 100 movie views to generate 1 subscriber, and every channel view looks at 2.5 movies, 2.69 I think. 2.59. When I began, every channel view was looking at 3.5 movies, and that slowly dropped off. And of course, you lose some subscribers, but generally every 100 movie views I get a sub. And by comparison, there's a bloke in New Zealand who's really, I call him a big YouTuber. He's got 20 million movie views and 10,000 subscribers. So whereas 100 people have to look at my movies before one of them subscribes, he has to get 2,000 people to look at his movies to get 1 subscriber. So we have different fields of interest and we appeal to different audiences, and they have different algorithms. But you know, my purpose for being here on YouTube has always been to publicise the SunFoil project. Alright? Now, therefore I'm going to talk a bit about SunFoils. For those of you who've forgotten, this is not a sculpture of a Martian fighting machine from the War of the Worlds movie. This is a Mark I SunFoil, right? It's a low drag omnidirectional array, puts out 5 watts. And it used to live on the roof of my car for 15 months. And it saved 1.5 litres per week. Because the probably 5 amp hours per week that it produced was therefore not required to come from the alternator, and I wasn't burning fuel for that much, and the car burns 207 mils of fuel per amp hour. So there we go. On the car at the moment we have the Mark III SunFoil. Right? Now the Mark III is a 30 watt panel, and it saves 5.3 litres a week. The Mark II is on my son's Brumby, which he's sold, he traded it in. And because the car yard doesn't keep anything older than 10 years, they gave it a wash and polish and put it on a truck and sent it to the auction. So somebody went to the auctions and they bought the world's second vehicle with a piston solar hybrid electrical system. And it saves 4.2 litres a week, or 218 litres a year. This thing saves 266 litres a year, and a litre costs $1.57 at the moment. So in its first year up there, the $300 solar panel paid for itself and the charge controller, right? Now, I can't patent any of this because everybody knows that batteries need to be charged, that if they sit there with nothing happening, they sulfate, and they've got to be fed 1% of their stored charge every day to prevent sulfation. And everybody knows that solar charge controllers look after batteries and stop them from boiling over. And everybody knows that alternators make electricity if you turn them, but if you turn them with a belt, the belt loses half the power it transmits, and the alternator has to go 2 or 3 times faster than the crankshaft. So in this car, to get 1 horsepower of electricity to come out of the alternator, I have to put 8 horsepower of twistiness into the belt. And considering that at idle, the engine only produces 3 horsepower, and at 1/4 output, the alternator was soaking up 2 horsepower out of the available 3 horsepower at idle revs. I think it's fair to say that by having a solar panel on the roof and having the battery fully charged, I've got 300% more torque to get away from the traffic lights when the engine's idling. When I'm driving up the road, the car is now 12.5% faster. It'll do 140 k's per hour, kilometres, instead of 125. That's in the daytime. At night time it's about 138. And looking at this long-term fuel burn, it is burning 35% less fuel, and I'm cruising at 105 k's instead of the 100 I used to cruise at, so I'm going 5% faster, burning 35% less fuel and making 35% less emissions. So my lifestyle is a lot cleaner. And a shit pot full of people say, oh, why don't you patent it? Why don't you build a factory? Why don't you distribute the units? Well, what can you patent on that? There's nothing new. Solar panels make electricity. Batteries need to be recharged. Alternators have to be turned. Petrol or diesel or LP gas engines burn fuel to make torque. Everybody knows that. So we look at the idea of a design registration, and any panel on any vehicle is going to make a significant improvement. A 5-watt panel saved me 1.5 litres a week with a 1.8 litre engine. Okay? If you pay $2,000 or $7,000 to register a design, all you have registered and protected is the look of the thing. If any dimension is changed by as much as 10%, design registration is void, invalid, not worth the paper you paid for. So if I was dumb enough to mortgage everything, to buy some tools and rent a shed and set up a factory and start trying to sell these things to people, I couldn't stop anybody from setting up a new factory down the road, spending more money and having better equipment and being more automated and undercutting me. And they couldn't stop anybody doing a similar thing with a factory in India or China or Brazil. Okay, so nobody is going to spend any money building a factory to make a SunFoil to sell you one in the shops. Right? I sent my project report to the Commonwealth Scientific Industrial Research Organisation run by the Australian government. They received it from Kim Carr, Senator Kim Carr, the Australian Government Minister for Science, Industry, Innovation and Technology, and he received it from my Member of Parliament, Tony Windsor. The CSIRO spent 7 months evaluating it. They said there's no bullshit in the project, it's a really good idea. But motorcar manufacturers don't want to bother testing anything that can be modified as an aftermarket thing to improve a car that's already been sold. They have long lead times, they know what they want to build for the next 3 years. They're not going to test it, they're not going to pay any attention to it at all. They said the people who make and sell aftermarket modifications have no facilities to test anything, and they're going to want intellectual property rights and you can't sell it to them. The director of the Cooperative Research Centre for Advanced Automotive Technology in Melbourne said because you can't patent anything or register the design, he can't see any way to make money out of stopping other people from doing it. So therefore it has no commercial potential, right? It'll allow you to drive a retrofitted solar electric piston hybrid electrical system on your car, which will save you 35% of your fuel burn. But it has no commercial potential. It'll save 35% of your emissions, right? So you can reduce your greenhouse gas output effect. but it has no commercial potential. So watch SunFoil Short Talk, see how to measure your car. Watch the SunFoil construction clips, the Mark 1, the Mark 2, the Mark 3, the wooden mounted and faired SunFoil from the bloke on the hippie commune who built his, well, he was the first copycat SunFoiler. Took him 22 months to decide to do it. Watching me and my son. And 1 year after I went on YouTube, InfinityVision has decided he's going to build a copycat SunFoil. He's got his charge controller, he's got his solar panel, and he's going to do it, right? 1 year. 22,056 movie views, 4,000 views of the SunFoil movies, and YouTube has inspired 1 out of the 7 billion of you to copy the fool on the hill and build a SunFoil and clean up your fucking act. Right? I've only spent 12 to 16 hours a day on the mobile phone to get the channel up and happening. But that's okay, you know, it's not as if I'm not an obsessive. See, the scientific method requires that you have to be a bit obsessive compulsive. This big pile of paperwork here is the log which I finished on the 20th of the 8th, 2011. And it started, sheet 1, on the 21st of the 8th, 2010, the first day I put the Mark III SunFoil onto my car, alright? And I have literally logged and graphed and played silly buggers with every engine start time, every shutdown time. I know how long the engine was running, I know how far I went, I know how much current the solar panel put into the battery in the morning before the regulator said it was full. Right? I have taken exhaustive notes, and when I bought the car, it had a logbook. Right? Sweet young thing, had her first car, had nothing else to do with the time except write down everything that she and her father did with it, and then she got married. Right? Her last entry, her previous last entry. 2 years after she got married, she'd done nothing to the car till she sold it to me. Right? So I've been keeping the fuel figures, and I know how much fuel it's been burning. Right? And it was getting 8 kilometres to the litre, cruising at 100 k's. And I was pretty peeved at that, maybe it was 8.5. Anyway, right, there's a movie called SunFoil-Science. If you want to see all of the details of what this means in the graphs, you go and have a look at it. Right? For the purpose of this movie, take it as read. Warbles has in fact done the calculations. Right? Now, just look at the last page from the 9th month of 9th of December 2011. 13.1 litres, 116 k's, 13.18, 154, 13.17, 134, 12.68, 137 k's, 12.68, 118 k's, 12.6, 103, 19.66, 207. So eventually you catch up with these figures here where you've filled up early basically. 13.1 litres, 152.8, 12.67 litres, 150.9, right? My long-term average, I'm getting at least 10.5 k's, sometimes 11 k's to the litre. I'm cruising at 105, whereas I used to cruise at 100. I'm burning 35% less fuel. Now YouTube's getting harder and harder to be communicative on. I've now discovered that if I post a comment on somebody else's thread, I can't get to see my comment on there until I log off and log on again. 14th of January I lost the ability to readdress PMs. 13th of December I lost the friend activity account, so I've got about 6% of the connectivity I had a year ago when I started this game. Everybody says on March the 7th everything's going to change. Maybe that means by March the 7th I won't be able to run a channel on mobile phone anymore. So if it disappears, yay team, I had fun. I hope it doesn't disappear. For those of you who've been watching The Fool on the Hill, the 205 subscribers, thank you very much. For the 2 sculptors out there who've been inspired to make artworks about me and my channel and my lifestyle, thank you very much. Everybody else, watch some SunFoil clips, please. I may be a mad scientist, but the madness isn't dangerous and the science is pretty good. Ciao! I'm a bit mad, sometimes I'm drunk, and often I rhyme.